So we've got two other baits. These are top water baits. They're going to be prop baits, already ready to paint. And we've got our crankbait we've been making. And we're going to paint them all. I'm going to do some with airbrush and some with spray paint to show you the differences, the different ways to get scale patterns and stuff like that on your lure. Decide what colors you want, if you want a shad color or whatever. We'll probably just do some basic shad patterns right now, and you can get as detailed as you want later on. But we'll start going through the process. I'm going to get some of the paint down and show you what we're going to do. We got some of our paint out here. We got a flat black, just store-bought paint. This is a little specialty paint. It's like webbing. It puts a cool little effect on stuff. It's like craft paint you can buy it at the store. This is silver shiver. Might try some of that. This is a Rust-Oleum nickel color. It's a good base coat for a shad paint job. This is a Ace Hardware Premium Enamel. It's chrome aluminum gloss. Another good chromy, minnowy looking lure. And this is a little glow paint. It's kind of faint. It's kind of neat though. If you paint it over a white coat, it gives it kind of a chartreuse effect. And it does glow, you know, so you don't really get much detail with it, but it does make a lure glow. So you can be creative in the paint selection. Also, some of your best stuff to get is like, this is some Testors Candy Apple Red paint, model paint. There's a lot of model spray paints. I use a lot of those when I used to before I was airbrushing lures. And but the basics is we're going to lay down a base coat of paint with one of the silvers. We'll go with one of these silvers or nickels to make a shad color. And then we're going to blend a little black on his back, and then we might put us a little scale pattern on it, and that's easier than you think, even using spray paint. So get it set up and we'll do some of that, and then we'll get the airbrush out and show you how to do that, because airbrushes are pretty cheap now, and they're real easy as long as you don't overdo it with paint. Keeping it simple, you get good finishes and good colors and stuff like that. So I went outside to keep the paint fumes down in the shop. I put a base coat of this chrome aluminum gloss. It makes a nice base coat, real minnow looking, chromy kind of color. So there's our base coat for our crankbait. You could have done this with yellow, whatever pattern you want to do it with. You know, the lure we've been looking at was a yellow base coat with a brown side, kind of a crawfish color. I just grabbed some paint and we'll do it. I mean, this all applies to any of that. So we got a good base coat. We held them with some hemostats. We'll hang them up and we'll do some base coats on the other ones with the airbrush and go from there. Our airbrush stuff out here and some of our tools we're going to use for airbrushing or spray painting. This is just some mesh. It's like a hoop that you use for some kind of sewing, and we just bought a mesh material. It makes a good scale pattern on the lure. We have a comb. The comb is really good for brim patterns. You can lay this on the lure and airbrush through it, and it'll give you brim patterns, little lines on the lure. You can use that stuff you can find at home. Now this is some little patterns I make. It's just a piece of mylar like packing material, and you can take your Dremel or a razor knife and cut out some little grooves. Lay that on the side of the lure and spray it. Here's another one. It's like a little bone pattern or something. And then here's some just little variable holes that you drill with the Dremel or whatever, and you lay that on the side of the lure and it puts little patterns on the lure. Similar to that, you can kind of see that's kind of a root beer looking color bait with some little patterns on the side. And then you got your paint, so you pick out your base coat and what you're going to do with the airbrush. I don't know what we're going to do with this plug. It's already got a white base coat, so maybe we'll find us a good pearl lime green, wicked pearl lime green. It's a top water bait. I don't know that I want something pearl lime green. I like shad color. Wicked silver. We can put some of that on there. And this is all water-based airbrush paint, which we'll put in our Iwata airbrush. We have a little mini compressor sitting here. It's kind of quiet. Clean it out, and this is a 2-stage gun. Real fine tip. It'll paint real easy. So figure out what colors. We'll get our colors up here. We'll get them shaken up and get them mixed up, and we'll figure out which kind of pattern we're going to paint, and then we'll continue on. We already got a base coat on our crankbait. We'll base coat our 2 top water baits with the airbrush, and then in the end, you should be able to see you can get just as good a finish with the spray paint if you take your time. So we cleaned up our airbrush, got the paint mixed up and thin. This is Wicked Aluminum by Wicked Colors by Createx. It's water-based paint. Thin it a little bit with some airbrush paint thinner, and we took our bait, our top water bait, and we put a little mist of the Wicked Aluminum on top of the white. It's on the back. I don't know if the camera can see it good. So we'll start blending some colors. We've already got our one that we painted with spray paint with a base coat, and that's an aluminum based, aluminum colored spray paint. So we got a base coat on both of them. Now we're going to start blending a few colors and putting some scale patterns and that kind of thing. So I'm going to clean out the gun, get my other spray paint, and then we'll go through that process. We got our paint in our gun. This is the airbrush. We're going to start blending a little color in. This is a purple plum. Get some shad hues in there. I'm just going to start, I got it in a little fixture, a little holder. I'm just going to start blending a little purple. Just a little tiny bit of purple in there on the side, just a purple line. And that's going to get painted over a couple times, but it'll give it a nice iridescent look. So we're just blending a little purple around the edge of his back right there like that. And then we're going to show you how to do that with the spray paint next. So change out the lures and put the spray paint. Took some, takes a minute to dry, so we've been waiting on that to dry, but we got our blend on that one. Here's our lure and the hemostats. Here's our paint. We're just going to blend a little bit in the back. The fumes, we'll just deal with it. We're just going to take the spray paint and just fade a little blend on the side. Don't worry about too much paint getting on it. Blend it a little bit, and we're going to take and straighten that up with our other paint, so it'll look more blended, like you get the results of an airbrush, because the paint's not as fine. So let this dry, and then we'll do the next step. So I took the heat gun and I dried the paint on both of them a little bit just to speed it up. And we're going to start blending a little more paint in there, and get our colors we want and get our hues we want. So the airbrush, you can use a hair dryer if you're in between coats, you don't want to wait as long. I use a heat gun. So